With the Qatar World Cup just around the corner, players and managers will be honing in on their tactics, getting everything ready for the biggest event in world football. But if there's anything we've learned from the previous World Cup, there's one tactic that every nation needs to master. This tactic led to over 42% of all goals scored at the previous World Cup and helped France be crowned as winners. And that tactic is set pieces. Of the 169 goals at the previous World Cup, 68 came from either a corner, free kick or penalty, a new competition record. This huge increase is likely due to a number of different reasons and will certainly play a massive role in the Qatar World Cup. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at why set pieces are so important and some elaborate routines that some nations have perfected in an attempt to bring glory to their country. Welcome back to Football Meta. Make sure to subscribe for World Cup discussions and tactics. I'll be uploading frequently throughout the competition to keep your tactical knowledge up to date. In the previous World Cup, a number of huge fixtures were decided by a set piece, including the France-Belgium semi-final and 5 of the 11 goals scored in the quarter-finals. As mentioned earlier, 42% of goals came from either a penalty, corner kick or free kick, a massive increase from the 27% in the 2014 World Cup. To put these numbers in a bit more perspective, the average amount of goals from set pieces last season in Europe's top 5 leagues was 28%, which is still a significant amount and is certainly trending upwards compared to the 21.5% in 2015. But what's led to this massive increase in dead ball situations? Well, there's a number of different reasons. The first and most likely is the introduction of VAR. The 2018 World Cup was the first to include this technology, and certainly had a big impact on the amount of free kicks awarded. But most importantly, penalties, with a record 28 penalties being awarded in the last World Cup. But there's another very important reason as to why set pieces are becoming more prevalent, and that's because of time. While club managers have months of pre-season training along with a constant revision of their tactics throughout the season, a nation has a very strict deadline for getting the team up to scratch, with only a couple of weeks of training as a team before the competition starts. It's for this reason that the majority of national teams tend to adopt less offensive tactics in big competitions, focusing more on their defensive game, with counterattacks and slow structured build-up taking the center stage. World Cup winners France was slammed for playing boring anti-football in the lead-up to the World Cup final, going to show how not conceding was perceived as more important than scoring a goal. And this is why set pieces became so important in the previous World Cup. Training set pieces allows any team to instantly create a dangerous opportunity, and allows the manager to ensure his players know exactly what needs to be done. So how exactly do you maximize your chances of scoring from a set piece? And what ways can you use to exploit the defense and create opportunities? Let's take a look at some key tactics, along with some nations that are the most dangerous from these situations. Let's first analyze how teams defend corners to better understand where there could be gaps. The two main schools of thought from corners are man marking and zonal, with some nations using a mixture of both. In man marking, each player is responsible for one opponent and will follow him anywhere he moves on the pitch. In zonal marking, the defending team looks to cover dangerous spaces rather than players. The structure can vary significantly from team to team, but common patterns are 2 on the front post, 2 lines of 3 and 2 on the edge of the box. Or against teams that like to play short corners, 2 players could step further out and keep a 5-3 structure in the center. Now, in the modern game, a mixture of both is the most common, as this allows the team to cover all players and dangerous spaces. This would usually look like 3 or 4 players in the 6-yard box, and the remaining players man-marking the opposition. One final thing to note is how many players teams choose to leave high up the pitch. This is an incredibly important thing to consider, as it will give the team more opportunities for counterattacks, while also forcing the attacking team to leave more players in a defensive position. Don't commit any and you could be trapped in your half. Commit too many and the opposition could outnumber you in the box. Now let's take a look at how teams should look to exploit both types of system. When taking a corner, there are 3 types of delivery: in-swingers, out-swingers and short passes. In-swingers are harder to defend, but much harder to execute, as the ball is moving towards the goalkeeper who has more of an opportunity to intercept. While out-swingers are easier to defend against given the ball moving away from goal, but the range is much larger for the offensive team. Nonetheless, in the box, against man marking, the most important way of gaining an advantage is through blocks. Here's a simplified example. Suppose it's a 2v2 from the corner. Defender A is on attacker A, and defender B is on attacker B. In this scenario, attacker B's responsibility is to prevent defender A from following attacker A. To do this, attacker A will curve his run round his teammate, who will stay in a fixed position to block the defender A's path, leaving attacker A completely free to score. This can be done with curved runs onto the back post or darting runs forward. A team that does this exceptionally well is Gustavo Alfaro's Ecuador, ranking as the best South American team in qualifying when it came to set pieces. A common pattern will see 4 players on the edge of the box, with 1 in the 6-yard box and 1 far back on the second post. Just before the corner is taken, a player darts forward, dragging the defender off the front post. This space is then attacked by 2 of the 4 players on the edge, while a block and a curved run will reveal the true threat of a ball onto the second post. This tactic works extremely well because the initial run forward makes the defending team think that the danger is on the front post, and will quickly rush to cover, leaving the player on the back post completely free. However, the extra player at the back post and the group of players on the front post also mean there are always options if the corner isn't very precise, and the team can flick it on or knock it back across goal. Now, against zonal marking systems, these blocks are no longer relevant, and the main goal is to deliver a ball in between the zones for an attacker to run onto. This, however, is much easier said than done, and a well-executed zonal system will leave very little gaps between defenders. For this reason, the best way of beating zonal marking is by being unpredictable. Short corners would force the block to move to cover, allowing the team to disrupt the zones. Or long arching balls onto the second post before knocking it back across goal could cause the defense to lose track of a teammate's positioning. Anything that forces the defensive block to make an extra decision is likely the best solution to beat this type of defense. Moving on, free kicks provide another very important opportunity to create an instant goal threat. When defending, the structure is rather universal, with the vast majority of teams holding a line as high up as possible in an attempt to catch the opposition offside and keep them away from the goal. While not very common in national teams, another way of defending free kicks can be seen with AC Milan, who hold a slightly deeper zonal marking system in an attempt to defend forward and not run towards the goal. Nonetheless, when adopting a defensive line, there's usually one player that leads the line to cover any crosses into this area, and one defender just in front of the line to stop any short passes. But there are many ways teams look to exploit this. An excellent example is Gareth Southgate's England. In the previous World Cup, 9 of their 12 goals came from set pieces, including some fantastic set piece routines in some of their wins. Firstly, the delivery into the box is the first choice. England would tend to have stronger, more physical players on the back post, where a long arching ball over the line could then see them win the header and knock it back across goal for an easier opportunity. While the quicker, more dynamic players would cut into the space behind the wall and in front of the first defender, to get a quick shot on the first post or flick it onto the back post. The combination of pace at the front and strength at the back meant England could constantly switch up their approach. But one fantastic goal against Panama came from even more coordinated movement. A central free kick saw England line up across the box. Henderson drops off the defensive line, receives the pass and flicks it past the line into Harry Kane, who knocks it back across goal for Sterling's header to be saved and subsequently knocked in by John Stones. The combinations are endless, but England are certainly one of the most dangerous teams from dead ball situations. Finally, it's very important to consider direct free kicks and penalties when it comes to set pieces. A nation can find itself going an extremely long way in the competition simply by having excellent set piece takers. Argentina will be a constant threat from set pieces thanks to Lionel Messi, Angel Di Maria and Paulo Dybala, and will certainly find themselves relying on these players if in need of a goal. While countries like Portugal can rely on Cristiano Ronaldo from the spot. And if you're watching this and you're going to the World Cup, statistically speaking, this is your best option for scoring a penalty. So while set pieces alone won't win anyone the World Cup, they'll certainly give a huge boost to any country that wants to go the whole way, and will be a very important part of every coach's preparation. And now let me know what you think. What country do you think will be the most dangerous from set pieces? And who do you think will win the World Cup? Let me know in the comments down below. So now you're all up to date on the best set piece routines, why not check out this video to instantly become a better team player? As always, if you enjoyed this content, then please leave a like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.